I'm Matt Bishar with REIT.com here in Boca Raton, Florida for REITWise 2014. Joining me is Yoel Kranz, partner with Goodwin Procter. Yoel, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Now here at REITWise, you were on a panel focused on SEC legal issues. In your opinion, what are some of the biggest issues right now in this area?
One of the issues that we spoke about, I think probably the most pressing for everybody at this conference in particular, is capital raising. Capital raising is one of the things that the SEC obviously regulates. There are many different ways to raise capital for a REIT. And we were talking about some of the developments in capital raising that will help REITs get the capital they need to do the things they need with sort of in the shortest time, lowest cost of capital, not sort of the very difficult regulatory process that typically this has been. So we talked about ATM programs. We talked about the ban, the lifting of the ban on general solicitation advertising. So now there's ability to raise private capital in a much more efficient process, and how that might play out among the various players in the REIT space.
And how about shareholder activism? What type of response should public companies have there?
You know, shareholder activism has not typically been something that we have worried about in our sector. Activists have found more fertile ground elsewhere. There have been a number of historical reasons for this, not least of which is the fact that REITs have built-in ownership limitation provisions. This prevents anybody from accumulating too large of a position in the stock. There may be some other reasons in terms of the asset class as why REITs have not attracted shareholder sort of activist interests. We obviously are seeing some of it now. You know, there's the companies that have attracted shareholder activists have been companies that have not been performing well. That's always the key. Activists are not going after the companies that are doing very well for shareholders. Companies that had some sort of odd governance structures, in our case externally managed, and you know, maybe with succession issues. There is no question REITs are vulnerable, much like every other company is vulnerable in terms of shareholder activists. Sometimes that ends up inuring to the benefit of shareholders. Sometimes it's very destructive. And from our perspective, we always want to be sure that our clients and REITs generally have the tools they need to fend off unwelcome advances, things that destroy, in fact, shareholder value. On the other hand, always balance with doing what's best for the shareholders in the long run.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
For more on this and other REIT news and analysis, be sure to visit REIT.com.